Once was the time that Commissioner Elliott was there, and then we just met with them on Monday evening. They feel exactly the way that Commissioner Elliott has just expressed. One of the things they said was that Makita said that she is waiting to hear from you, Commissioner White, that she's been trying to get in touch with you to have a meeting to try to begin to resolve some of the issues. They certainly do have issues with the policy change, with what they would like the bylaws to be versus what they are. They seem willing to talk that through, but they said that their first step, in their opinion, I believe, was to meet with you and to go from there.
And the only thing I wanted to say was that, well, they may want to do that. The board is 7, and if there are 4 speaking, then it really should be at this time. We do have a parent engagement conversation scheduled, I think, next month. And so if some board members want to meet with them, but if 4 are meeting, then they really should come here with the presentation.
I think, thank you, Linda, for providing that summary. A couple things. When a lot of these conversations were taking place, some of you may know, the leadership was having some, one of the leaders was having some personal challenges with her family. And that made communications very difficult, right? And I think we have to appreciate that. I know you're right. I've been trying to meet with her. Francine's been trying to set something up. That's been very difficult. But I don't disagree with anybody that says that we have to, as a matter of fact, I agree with folks that say the policy is the policy. No one's retreating from that. But we do have to sit down and talk to folks to get some level of understanding, to build some reconciliation, because clearly we're not on the same page, and we should be. So, and I do agree with Dan that conversation should take place with all the board members. There is a format for that. We regularly, I know I've gone to countless meetings with PAC when they set up to meet with the board. We need to make sure that meeting takes place. I'm not sure when their next scheduled meeting is with the board. I think there was some confusion about whether the last meeting that you went to, Vice President Elliott, was a board meeting or not. I know I've been, and I've seen my colleagues at many of those meetings time and time again. I've broken bread with them. So we need to re-engage them. Madam Clerk, if you could just confirm with Makita, or have Francine confirm with Makita when the next board meeting is. I will, like any board member, I will, of course, if we can get it scheduled, I will meet with Makita, but we want to make sure that we have a date that they have us speaking to the entire board. And again, for those, don't be concerned, the board policy, the board resolution was passed. That's what we'll discuss about it. We will have to discuss why people are feeling the way they are, but ultimately they're going to have to understand, as we have to understand every day here, that looking in the rearview mirror is going to make you run into potholes. So eventually, we're going to have the healing conversation and move forward. So that's what we'll try to do at that particular meeting. Commissioner Powell?
Yeah, I have a question. Dan, you called Linda and Cecilia came up to support her. My question is, what role is the Parent and Community Engagement Office playing in trying to help the leadership of the PAC to conform to that? Are there any efforts to revert back to the old bylaws, or to coach them through what's wrong with the ones that they crafted that caused them to be rejected?
Well, you're asking 2 questions. Yes, there's an effort from me personally, Linda, Celia, and all that, to get them to conform, but I think as the commissioner said, you know, there's still some hurt feelings, and the group is too small than it really needs to be. We are, under Tony's leadership, trying to pull the liaisons and all of the parent groups together, because it's got to be a force to be dealt with. I mean, that's the key for kids, but in the meantime, the adults, we've got some work to do.
And to Commissioner Powell's question, just adding on some of the conversation that we had, the parent engagement office was that was a lot of the challenge. They'd gone through, what, about 5 heads of the parent engagement. So that was a huge part of the issue that they talked about. So I believe that the group really does want to do the work, but I think that, you know, with lack of support back during that time, and I think it's a matter of us speaking with them. Here's the other thing too, is that we can't afford to be antagonistic. That's energy wasted. So even if we pass that policy, how can we work it? How can we still work with the group? How can we help to build that group? How can parent engagement help to support the group? Let's move forward. I mean, we just don't have the time we cannot afford that wasted energy. How can we? And they are parents, regardless, they are our parents. We are, whether they were right or wrong. In my view, because they're parents, whether they were wrong or not, they're right. And so I think we've got to look at a way, how can we come together to work with this body, and how can we make it better? How can we improve upon it?
Commissioner Shepard?
So, you know, I try to stay out of the back and forth in regards to this, but I just want to go on the record by saying that we did not pass a resolution without speaking to them first, and I am definitely there to go back and speak with them. I'm always open for conversation, but there also has to be a level of respect that's going 2 ways, and we talked about everything that was just set up here that we're going to go back and talk to them about. We talked to them about that before we passed the resolution, and I'm frustrated because PAC is like a hub for parents, and we have not heard from them in months. And so, respecting the fact that they are parents, they still have a responsibility to the rest of the parents in the district, but they haven't been coming because of animosity in a meeting that was amongst us. And that I definitely don't respect. So if we are going to go back, I do want the board to go back wanting to come out with some different outcomes, or we need to follow through with the resolution that we already passed. I don't want to go back to talk and argue because the last meeting was very, very contentious, and it's the same exact issues, the same exact topics, the same exact questions that we're going to go back and ask again. And if they're not willing to compromise and us compromise as well, I don't see the point of a meeting, and I think that we should just follow through with the resolution at that point.
Commissioner LeBron?
Yeah, I just want to also add to a point to Commissioner Elliott. Like, I understand that they're parents that absolutely support parents. I'm a parent in this district too. I'm always going to support parents. That's why I have the issues that I have with them. They were creating a process where they were interviewing parents, even though the original intention was that parents who served at the school, either school-based planning, PTO, or PTA in the school, could be nominated from the school to serve on PAC. And the intention was that we would have parent reps from all the schools. They created a process that they then became the interviewers, and they determined, beyond that policy, that process that was already in place, whether someone should be deemed eligible to serve on PAC. Parents